Blessed All Saints to you, church. This is the feast day of the church when we celebrate memory, a holy time when the veil between the living and the dead is made thin, the now and the eternal. A time when we continue living the questions by embracing mystery. As Paul wrote to the first century church in Corinth, that passage Lynn just read, now we see indistinctly as in a mirror. Our knowledge is imperfect now. Even as our faith and courage for the living of these days, for loving the questions as they unfurl themselves at our feet, even as they are bolstered by the memories of our saints, our great cloud of witnesses, surrounding us in name and living in our hearts. Hebrews 11 tells us that faith is the reality of all that is hoped for. Faith is the proof of all that is unseen. Because of faith, our ancestors were approved by God. And then it goes on with a kind of holy roll call of ancestors from the Hebrew Bible for whom faith was reckoned to them as righteousness or approval by God. Ancestors like Shiphrah and Puah, Hebrew midwives who get a minor shout out in the book of Exodus for outsmarting Pharaoh and refusing his order to kill the boy babies born to the Hebrew people. Their faith looked like courage to disregard the orders of a powerful ruler and hew to their call to nurture life, not accommodate death. Ancestors like Moses, stepping away from his cushy adoptive home he had in Pharaoh's palace to accompany his people on a 40-year death-defying journey through the wilderness. His faith looked like the courage not just to run away from evil, but to run toward solidarity with those who were hurting. His faith looked like the courage to hang in there through rough days and hard conversations, both with God and the people of Israel. His faith looked like a long, uncertain journey, not arrival. Ancestors like Reverend Olive Green, the ordained congregational minister and teacher in the primary room of the two-room schoolhouse at 70th and Monroe Court here in Urbandale, who felt strongly in 1919 that the children here needed a Sunday school and made a plea that the schoolhouse be used for that purpose. Her faith looked like the conviction that children needed space to develop not just skills in reading, writing, and arithmetic, so important, but also connection to community, purpose, character, the sacred. And her faith looked like the courage to do something about it. Ancestors like those founding members of a federated community church in Urbandale, with members from Friends and Brethren, Episcopalians and Congregationalists and Methodists and more, Garings and Lambs, Laverenses and Whitmers, Stewarts and Bechtels, whose faith looked like the courage to put the things they had in common above their denominational differences. Are you getting the picture here, friends, of this holy roll call of our ancestors in the faith? Ancestors like the members of the first Urbandale Community Circle, the purpose of which in 1921 was simply to be whatever help possible in the community and to earn money to pay the interest on required church loans. I appreciate that practicality. Their motto, 35 years before there was a United Church of Christ, was United for Christ and the Church. Their faith looked like the commitment to pay attention to their community and the needs of its people. Now, no pet projects, just embracing the mystery of people in need and stepping in to help as they could. Their faith also looked like pragmatism, collecting dues at a penny a day, good stewardship to make good on the promise to build this church. Ancestors like Reverend Cooper, whose faith looked like service of the young community when we were in need, and also recognition of when his gifts and the needs of this congregation were no longer in lockstep, making room for the Reverend Gail Strickler to follow in his wake and on the wings of the Spirit shortly after. Reverend Strickler, who is remembered several times with his wife Beth here amongst this great cloud of witnesses. His faith looked like cross-cultural mission and so much more. Friends, on this weekend when SNAP benefits have run out for so many, I think of ancestors from this community who were instrumental in getting the Urbandale food pantry up and running. Their faith looked like recognizing the dignity of their neighbors and making sure that everyone had access to good food. The roll call of faithful ancestors in the book of Hebrews is wrapped up in chapter 12 with these words. Therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside everything that impedes us. Everything that impedes us. Everything that impedes us. And the sin that so easily entangles us. And let us run with perseverance the race laid out for us. Looking to Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of our faith. Friends, the content of the faith of each of these faithful ancestors looks a little different. They were each called to respond to the events of their time using the gifts they had, not someone else's, and to put them in service on a path that led to more life. The courage to do that, to step out in faith in the face of the unknown, to trust that, even in the mystery, even in the unknown, to trust that even in the mystery, even in the unknown, they would be held in love, and they were called to share that love. That is faith. Friends, there have always been events that make people want to close the doors, pull down the shades, turn off the lights, say, I'm done. Events that make folks say, life isn't supposed to be like this, and shut down rather than participating in the change they and we hope to see. Faith is the courage to step out into the unknown to meet the moment we are in, trusting that the way will rise up to meet us when we do. A way built of love and fueled by community and positive spiritual energy and the wisdom of our ancestors and the long arc of the universe bending toward justice. Whether it is our church school teachers, our refugee ministry, our buildings and grounds team, or some ministry we haven't even imagined yet, it's amazing to look back at our history and to see the seeds of our DNA planted through all the ministries we're engaging in now. There is deep faith and courageous action in the DNA of this place, and we find ourselves connected to a good heritage, a long list of courageous ancestors. Much as we would like, we will not be able to anticipate what is coming around the bend. As Paul said, now we see in a mirror dimly, but we can embrace the ability to run with perseverance the race that is set before us, with the help of community, the cloud of witnesses, and the example of Jesus. And we can be part of keeping that community going with our faithful giving. Thanks be to God for the saints who went before us. One Sunday school class, one service, one circle, one penny at a time. May we be faithful to their memory, to the ones who will come after, and to the one who holds us all in love. Amen.